here to review Week 11 Cafe Value. I'm excited to bring this to you. Should be a fun one. Every week, me and my buddy Jason go through DraftKings and FanDuel. We go through the optimizer, play around with it, which I suggest you guys should too. It's a lot of fun. You can go through projections, games, players. You already know that if you're tuning in here. Essentially, we're going to take a look today at some of the top values on the slate. Obviously, we're looking at quarterback right now. But just generally speaking, take a look, see why our little cafe value algorithm popped out with what it did. So I guess we can start off with quarterbacks. Obviously, we're looking at the main slate. There's tons of slates if you want to check them out. If not, then, whatever. Anyway, so getting started off here, Blake Bortles, Colin Kaepernick, Kirk Cousins. They're just great values on DraftKings. I mean, I don't know what else to say. A lot of talk about Allen Robinson getting matched up with Darius Slay for the Lions. I'm not as worried about that as most people. I know it's a bad matchup for Allen Robinson. I still think he's an interesting play. He's a talented player. He can get through bad matchups. I don't think Slay is an elite tier corner, so I'm cool with stacking him with Bortles. However, Detroit really does struggle with slot-ish possession, speed guys, so you're really looking at Marquise Lee and Allen Hurns as guys that you really like to get in. You can get a really cheap Blake Bortles stack going and feel really good about, the rest of your spots if you do that. So I like that quite a bit. Colin Kaepernick, really mostly about garbage time. Nobody expects San Francisco to really stay with the Patriots, but if they can stay within a reasonable range or get completely blown out, we're looking at, a lot of attempts, a lot of rushing yards, a lot of fantasy points for Kaepernick, even in less than ideal situations. So, as we saw last week, New England's a little vulnerable in terms of, receiving down backs and sneaky guys out of the backfield. So Kaepernick's got his own little way about him with that stuff. So I'd certainly check him out, at least in a tournament sense. Now we kind of look at, so I'll do all these three together: Kirk Cousins, Tyrod Taylor, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, my favorite play of the week, my favorite play on the board. Just so many good stacking options with him. So much good correlation in that game. Love it. Sign me up, Andrew Luck and cash. Same with Kirk Cousins. I think he's a decent cash game option at his price, $5,800. Obviously projected for 20 points here, 26 total for the Redskins this week. No Deshaun, but I think we're looking for quite a few quality options there with Jordan Reed and Pierre Garçon, maybe a little Jamison Crowder as well. So I think we like this matchup quite a bit for both sides of the ball, Kirk Cousins and cash. Tyrod, I'm not quite as in on as other people, but I do see the logic here. Obviously been a higher floored player and higher ceiling player than we expected coming into the year. With LaShawn McCoy back, kind of afraid of him taking some of the usage here, but I'm not worried about Tyrod Taylor. I like him quite a bit, so I think we can fire away there and feel pretty good about it. So that's the general vibe there. I actually think all those are pretty solid plays there. All right. So running back, I'm Xing out Rashad Jennings. I'm not in on him. I don't think he's viable. But then you kind of get in to this group. I love all of them. Le'Veon Bell, obviously expensive, but I'm not worried about paying up for him. In that game, you got the correlation with Isaiah Crowell. He's had some big games this year, even though he hasn't quite been right of late. I like him at his price. If you want to go with another cheap option, CJ Prosise certainly broke out in a big way last week. I think we see more of that receiving down prowess from him this week. That's what he profiled as. That's what he proved in last week's game, and I expect more of that to continue. I'd be more worried about Philly's defense at home. On the road, not quite as worried. You guys don't need me to talk to you about LeGarrette Blount. Everyone's on LeGarrette Blount this week. 6,400. Going to be super high owned in cash games. Wouldn't be surprised to see over 70%. It's just simple. against that San Francisco run D, Garrett Blount's going to go crazy. Theo Riddick, much more of a DraftKings play than a FanDuel play. Love his upside in a PPR format. Against this Jags team, slow linebackers, not really anyone that can cover him out of the backfield. Have to like that at 5,100. His price just stays low. If he was at 6K, 6,500, I'd have a much harder choice, but at 51, that's borderline cash on DraftKings, and that's just the way it goes. Same with Frank Gore. His price is just still so cheap. He's been so good this year with that Andrew Luck-led offense. I just think you continue to fire away with him in tournaments at least. His upside appears capped because he's older and, some of his skills aren't what they used to be, but he's still very good and in an optimal situation for running back production. So I like Gore quite a bit in tournaments. Wide receiver, this is where things get really ugly. I'm not interested in any of this, really. I mean, you guys can, I like Devontae Parker. I think that's fun. He has some really nice upside at 4,100. Golden Tate, I'm okay with. But once you start getting into Eddie Royal, Quentin Patton, and Cameron Meredith, I just don't want to do this. I just don't feel like you have to do this. I mean, if you want to get Zeke and Le'Veon and, pay up for Andrew Luck and Hilton and Moncrief, then yeah, you're probably going to have to use these guys at some point. I'd go with Eddie Royal over all of them. I'd go with Patton over Meredith. I don't trust Meredith this week. Excuse me. Obviously, Alshon Jeffrey out would lead you to believe Cameron Meredith would see more of a role, but there's a strong chance it's just more Eddie Royal and more Zach Miller at tight end. So no way am I trusting Brian Quick in any type of reasonable lineup unless I'm making 150. We don't know what we're going to see from Jared Goff. I know a lot of people aren't expecting much. Could be something else, not worth taking a gamble on, in my opinion. Beyond that, I don't want to deal with this. Troll Pryor could be interested at 5,600. But yeah, I mean, this is gross. Yucky. Yuck. Tight end here is where we want to go with value. Look at that cafe value compared to everything else from Martellus Bennett. Just, even if he doesn't have a good game, it's going to still hit value at 3,700. It's just too easy. It's too easy. That's cash game. I don't care if it's 90 or 100%. You're firing away with him and feeling really good about it. No reason to diversify in any way. You want to have him 100% exposure, I think, is in my opinion. Jason Witten, I'm not doing that. No way. Especially with Martellus right there. No thanks. A lot of these values I'm not looking at this week. The guys I'm looking at are Eric Ebron, Zach Miller, and Martellus. And I don't think you need to do anything other than that. Maybe do a Vance McDonald if you have a Colin Kaepernick stack. Want to stack Colin Kaepernick and you don't like Quentin Patton or Jeremy Curley. And Ladarius Green down here at 2,500 could see a touchdown. Could be a nice day for him, but overall, just go with Martellus, go with Zach Miller, go with Eric Ebron, and log out, essentially, at tight end. Defense, I think they have it right. These three of these top four are who I'm looking at. I think you could use the Cowboys in a correlation play with Ezekiel Elliott. I think that's a nice move. But overall, Cardinals and Chiefs are really the ones I'm looking at. And then, you can go at Jared Goff with the Dolphins D. I think those are all really nice plays. Don't feel the need to go with the Eagles. Russell Wilson's first half stats and the Seahawks first half stats are going to lead a lot of projection systems to say, oh, Eagles could be exploitable here. This is not what we're looking at for the Seahawks offense anymore. Russell Wilson's back. He's looking great. No reason to go after him. So I guess I will disagree with the projections here. Russell Wilson going to be mashing again. But as you mentioned, no, Chiefs are more expensive, but I love them as a play. I think they're the cash game move. And if not, I'd go Cardinals. Dolphins if you're trying to be contrarian in tournaments, but really just Chiefs and Cardinals. No need to get confusing here. So that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously these are the values. These are who our projections say really are the best values of the week. So, slot these guys in with top plays and you're looking pretty good. So your work is to find the top plays, and if you need help with that, obviously we have articles reviewing all that this week. So as always, thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here at Daily Fantasy Cafe, certainly check out the articles. If you like what I'm doing on this episode, give us a like. And as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you in week 12.